Nate is a pastor that has been overwhelmed by the senseless violence and the loss of life of the youth and elders violence. Good afternoon, and how are you? My name is Nate. Would you mind if I ask you your name?
No. But I don't usually give my name out to strangers just like that, but never mind, you look like a decent character. My name is Sonia. I can see that something is troubling you greatly, for your facial expression says a lot, but just maybe I can be a listening ear.
I am just here thinking to myself, again, how life has become so challenging in the world, and how sin is so rampant, and some of us just act as if it is so okay. I really do appreciate your willingness to at least listen, for I feel so all alone in a room that is filled with people, and some that don't really understand what I am truly feeling or talking about. Some have already gone as to label me weird, and some says I am out of place, and that's why I just took the time out to come to the park, to some quiet time to clear my thoughts, and I am just looking back on life, where I have been, and where I am now. I have seen the rise and fall of some of the world's greatest people, cities, nations, and things, and along with it its people, and this brings about such a great burden on my heart.
You sound like a man of the cloth, but not just any man of the cloth. There is something in your voice that tells that you are carrying more than a burden. This is much more. It seems as though the Lord is truly using you or trying to use you in some way, and just maybe that's why your burden seems so heavy.
Call it what you may, friend, for sometimes I think this is more like a blessing that comes with a heavy weight that make it seems like a burden. But I don't really look at it that way. I look at the gifting that the Lord has places on my life as a blessing. But with each blessing comes the challenges. In a world that people are moving swiftly away from the will of God, that is where my burden begins.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And I am so excited to hear that you have been able to get some of the stuff out of your system, so that you can have some peace inside of you, and not carrying too much weight around in your head, because that can be difficult for you to be carrying such weight around.
Tell me about it. I have seen the young people of the nation been destroyed, and been distracted from their purpose to fit in to the failing systems in this world, and others are still trying to make it seem as it's okay. As morals fall apart, as the media pushes a narrative that it is okay to lower your standards and beliefs to fit in with the masses, and if our eyes are open, we would see that we are failing this generation, and that's what bothers me the most.
Come to think of it, I have always thought about that, but I have never made it a burden to me, for I know that with time come changes, and time would not remain as it was as times gone by, the good old days when there was respect and family ties and a community grew a child and there was discipline. Boy, I certainly miss the good old days, but as I say, time moves on and things change, so tell me, what are you going to do about it?
Obviously this is the problem that we face as a nation. And this is the kind of mindset that contributes to the problems we face today in this world, and we need to work together to solve it and make sure that we can make the best possible solutions to fix this problem in our society, and our children are the ones that will be benefiting from it.
What do you mean by that? My response doesn't mean that I have not thought about it, or even made some effort to come up with some solutions, but to tell you the truth, when you speak about it, some say you are being judgmental about things, and let the kids be kids, and in time they will change, and this is what bothers me the most, and that is why I just leave it alone and focus on myself and my business and kids. I feel much better off doing that, you know, as they would say oftentimes, stay in your lane.
Well, I heard you loud and clear, but I refuse to sit and watch this generation be destroyed before my very eyes, and sit idly by waiting for someone else to bring about a solution, while I have a voice in the mouth. Don't you know the Bible says that the children are our heritage, and the Lord expects us to watch over them, and training them up in the way they should grow, that when they become of age they won't depart from it. And that doesn't mean just your household alone, but other kids that you come in contact with, for we will be judged for it.
Well, I had not given it such a deep thought though, but I know the times has changed, and changed for the worse. Things are getting way out of hand. The violence and the riots that even happening in the schoolhouses and churches, what could be worse? My mind often wonders if there is ever going to be a peaceful solution to fix the problem without the loss of life, especially young lives.
You see, this is the problem. The lives that we are losing are young lives that matters. Not to say that all lives don't matter, but the kids and the future generations if the Lord tarries. But we must stand up and do what we got to do on their behalf, for whatever the Lord gives us He expects us to be good steward of. It is said in the Bible also, a righteous father leaves an inheritance for his kids. And that is not just material things, also spiritual things and life's lessons that will impact their lives. And this is the way it should be.
Well said, boy. I wish there would have been more people like you thinking and acting in this manner, and I know there would be a more impactful change in the lives of our kids and the nations and the world in general. But what are your expectations and solutions? I am just asking for maybe it can be more insightful to others, and who knows if can bring about a change. If expressed in the right circles, you may never know who you could be influencing.
I am sure that I could be the advocate for change in our children's lives and the lives of our kids. Just knowing that it only starts with one voice to bring about a change in the lives of others and our societies, and the children should be the focal point. We must bring about godly devotion in our homes, school, churches, and social gatherings, and hands over our affairs and the nation's affairs to the Lord in prayer and fasting, and let's adjust the things that they put out on the media and focus on placing God in all we do, praying without stopping until something breaks, for this is the will of God for us.
But come to think of it, how many of us do think on these things, or even stop to address them? Most of us are more caught up with our work and financial obligations, and let alone the important things just slips by us.
Yes, you are right, but that doesn't mean that you should not try to do your best, to do your part, for it is not just in our homes alone we are dealing with, it is the wider nations that we are trying to save. Here, you know, when we get older we don't want to be living in fear because of our failures to have dealt with these issues earlier on, and the lack of interest in fixing this problem before it gets out of hand.
I know what you mean. But I have never thought of it that way before, because I have oftentimes tell myself that maybe if the worst comes to worst, I would just relocate from here to another location, somewhat a different environment, where there will be less interaction with people, on a whole.
Yeah, I heard you loud and clear, but that doesn't justify the fact that there need to be a change in our society and in the lives of the young people. If this generation is going to progress, they need to be thought of the Lord, and good principles will have to be instilled into their life, and it got to start one home at a time and in the wider society, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, but we can only do what we can, and the rest is up to others that are of the same mindset to see a positive change come about in the lives of others around them, and then we will have a better future.
Well said, but I sure hope that people are willing to pay more attention to the details of the situation that we are dealing with, and that we can get some answers and make the changes necessary to bring about a lasting outcome for the future.
Well, man of God, all we got to do is pray and work on the situation that is at hand, for change won't come unless we get involved with the situation that we desire to change, and best believe it is going to take a lot to bring it about and for this change to last, for we are dealing with mindsets here.
Well, mindsets can change if people are willing to unlearn what they were taught that doesn't bring about any lasting change or improvement in their life. To let go and move to something that is proven to work and bring a positive impact in their lives and the lives of others. And this, my friend, starts with self-awareness and the willingness to learn and grow. That's just about it. It's not that hard.
I'm so happy that you said that. Tell me the truth, how many people are going to be willing to let go and follow without a reason?
Come to think of it, that is a major problem here. Truly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many will just come on board with no questions asked? Or no hidden agendas? But nevertheless, this is not an excuse not to try. So I commission you to arise and put your input positively in someone else's life that wants to go the other way, to do things that are outside the norms, and see the impact it will bring, for many want to change and are afraid to speak up and out about these subjects. So we who are not afraid must let our voices be heard, and then we will see changes. I guarantee you it will happen sooner or later. All it ever needs is just one voice to bring about change in a moral system. By just speaking out on the injustices and abuses and neglect without violence, and we will be good, for no violence is needed to implement change in our society. And what we have become accustomed to, that's all.
Truly, this conversation was worth the while, and I am glad that we were able to meet and have this conversation, because it was on my mind, but I have never gotten the opportunity to express my thoughts so much with someone who provided a listening ear. I am surely looking forward to see you again sometime soon.
No problem, sis. You can take my contacts, or you can come by the local church. We have meetings every Thursday and Sundays. Feel free to drop by.